Patty, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I knew I wanted you to be on the show for so many reasons, but one of them is just because you do demonstrate such embodied leadership and the way that you show up in your business, the way that you have navigated all of the obstacles in your life, and also how you've built such a successful business over the last like 20 years.
Yeah, 18 years.
18. You're an OG.
I am. Doing this a long time.
Yeah. So let's talk about this because I think that one of the main struggles and like areas for growth with a lot of the listeners of the show is setting boundaries, being in your power, being in your leadership, and really just like owning that you are a leader and what it takes to be a leader. And I know that you didn't start out this way, but I'm curious, how have you gotten to the place where you are so unapologetic in your boundaries and that you've built a business and a legacy and this mission in alignment with who you truly are and what you're here to do?
Well, I think, starting out, I think just like everybody else, you kind of, I had a transition from corporate to, doing something else. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis 19 years ago. So that was not in the game plan. I knew back in high school that I wanted to go into accounting, and I do have a degree in accounting, and that's what I did for 13 years before being diagnosed. And it was like, oh crap, now what am I supposed to do? Because the goal was CFO. Like that was the path that I was
Hmm.
taking. So now we have to change gears. And it kind of just made sense to transition into doing bookkeeping because of the accounting background. I know the lingo. I get along with all my clients' accountants very well. I understand what they're doing. It's less work for them to do come tax time for my clients because I understand the world that they're in because I was in that world. And starting out, it's like, yes, you're grateful for every client. You take them on, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, but we're money driven. And you got to pay the bills, and you want this to be a success. So, one of the things that I kind of learned way too late was listening to the gut, listening to my instinct and going, no, you're not the right client, but I need the money, so I'm going to
Mm,
take you. And then you pay for that down the road. You really do pay for that because that client can be a pain in the ass and is worth way more work than what you're getting paid for.
yeah. Can you speak to having discernment around the clients that are in alignment for you versus maybe the ones would be better off with somebody else?
So I really do kind of like when I get on a call with somebody, it's really how I feel.
Mm,
Because I'm sorry, bookkeeping is bookkeeping. You make money, you spend money. You call it coaching, they call it landscaping. The concept is the same. So it's really now, after doing this for 18 years, how I feel. Like if I'm on the call with somebody and I just feel that they are going to be such a pain and need the constant hand holding and not be able to give up this aspect of their business, which I get. This is their baby, to give up the finances, it's a big thing and you have to trust the person that you're giving it to. But if I just don't feel, I might just say that I can't take on a client. Where
mm.
in the beginning, I would have ignored those signals and just said yes because you need the business. You want to start somewhere. You need to build the clientele.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like you raised your standards and what you were a match for, and also started to set some boundaries around how your business was operating in the whether it was the level of client or where they were at, but also really tuning into like the frequency of the person too.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can't really describe it because it was just I get a feeling on the phone.
Yep.
Either they're going to be great to work with or they're not. And if they're not, I kind of try to, get out of it. And it might just be a simple, I'm not taking on a new client right now. My workload, I'm at my max capacity of the clients that I can work with at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I have not met a bookkeeper just like you. Obviously, I know you very well, but there to me, yes, you bookkeep, but you also just demonstrate leadership so well in just your actions, like just embodied leadership, like truly. I think that there's a lot of people that listen to this show who are maybe in the beginning of their journey where they do feel like they have to take on anyone because they're like, I need money. What advice would you give to them where they're still in that way of thinking around clients and money, and how do they start to shift into the mindset that you're currently in?
I think, and it's very scary because when I started to doing, you have to trust that really that universe, that it's all going to work out in your favor. And it's very scary. Like when, like when I had to learn to kind of lean back and not do the follow up and not chase after people that I had a call with, they're feeling that energy. They're feeling that I'm kind of like chasing them, like I need them. And I really don't, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but when I kind of sat back and was like, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. When you're ready, I'm here. It popped. It was like in a 2-week period, I got 6 clients because I just kind of let go. And it's scary and it's hard to believe that if you kind of just trust in the process and trust yourself, that the clients will come. And in the meantime, kind of just focus on the clients that you have. Maybe you can offer an extra service. You can do something that kind of will, money-wise, make up for it until you get, that additional client coming your way.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely like having a connection to God, universe, whatever you believe in, right? And knowing
Yeah.
that there's when you really truly are operating in alignment and you honor the no or the yes, whatever you're feeling in your body, that you will receive more. Like I think those no's create space for more aligned yeses.
Yeah, totally, totally. Because it's allowing the right person to come into your life because you're getting through all the ones that aren't the right fit.
Yeah. How have you become so detached? I feel like this is such a invaluable skill as a leader or an entrepreneur where you truly do need to set the intention, have the vision, but then detach from the outcome and enjoy the present moment. What are some things you currently do or even just mindsets around this?
So I kind of learned more about my human design, and I'm a 4/6 Sacral Generator. So in learning about my human design, it was a game changer for my business, as well as me personally. Sacral, it's my gut. Hello, I have ulcerative colitis. Where do I feel it? So it's yes, no. And as a generator, my job is to respond. So, and that was very hard because we're taught follow up is such a big part.
Yeah.
And to remove that and say, I'm not going to follow up, I'm going to let them come, was huge. But when I kind of leaned back, then I wasn't attached to it because I'm not going anywhere. So if in 2 years from now, someone reaches out to me and says, hey, we had a call or we met at an event and now I'm ready for you, I'm here. So I don't put the pressure on myself to meet a certain number to say I have to have 2 clients every month or it means I'm not a good person and I'm not successful in my business. And it doesn't, because the right people will come at the right time. And you just have to kind of just have faith that it will do that.
Yeah. Something that you keep bringing up is like this trust and this faith and this like divine timing. And it's definitely a very big conversation that we have on the show because I don't really believe that you can be an embodied leader, a high frequency leader. I don't believe you can be that without a connection to something greater than you. And whether you identify that thing as God, the universe, your spirit team, your angels, whatever it is, but there's a greater connection to something bigger. Have you always had that connection? And if so, share about that. And if not, what's been that journey for you of like you and a higher power?
So I think I've always believed, but never really looked at it because, coming from corporate, there's a certain path. So it was really, when you become an entrepreneur, it's a totally different world. It's a totally different mindset. And in the beginning, I kind of had to work on the whole money, kind of just trusting that I'm going to be able to make the smart decisions. And you go through and trial and error and you work through the issues that you've had from growing up and from what your parents had and all that kind of stuff that they instill. But faith was always something that was there. And going through being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, that was not the game plan. And when I was in it, I remember saying, like, why am I going through this? Like, what is the purpose of this? And I can't imagine now not having the business that I have. Like, I can't imagine not doing what I'm doing. You know, as you know, I live by the beach. Beach is a big part of who I am, to the point where my clients know that, you know, okay, if Patty's not answering the phone, she could be on the beach. But that's a big part of self-care, of keeping the colitis in check, of taking care of myself, of not allowing stress and overwhelm to come in. So the faith kind of just changed, because it was, now I have to have the faith and trust in myself, and that everything is going to work out the way that it should.
Yeah. I feel like you're really giving some invaluable codes to people, no matter where they are in their journey. I think we can all use more self-trust. It's, you know, I did a reading with a woman, and she told me that one of my biggest lessons in this lifetime is self-trust. And I thought that was really interesting, because it's one of the biggest skills we need in business and we need as leaders, is being able to trust ourselves and also like have discernment around things, you know?
Yep.
I'm curious, does anything stick out to you, or a story or maybe a client where you didn't trust yourself and it bit you in the ass and you were like, fuck, I knew it. Like, I knew that I should have trusted that little nudge, or maybe it's not even in business. Maybe it was in a relationship or something in your life. And yeah, I would love to hear if any story pops up for you.
There's been a couple of clients who, you know, started with, and, you know, we would have a call, and the work wasn't difficult. So it wasn't that the work was triggering me, it was the individual.
Yeah.
And I remember one that, you know, we would get on a call, and we could just be on a call for 5 minutes, and I was in the bathroom. And after doing that for like 2 or 3 times, I just was like, listen, I don't really think I'm the person for you anymore. And I got out. And, you know, in the beginning, I probably would have stayed. But as I grew more trust in myself and I started listening to, you know, what my body was saying, I really was like, no, I don't really care how much money you're paying me. My health is worth way more than anybody. Because if I'm not healthy, then I'm of no value to anybody. I can't do anything for anybody. And then I had a client who I was with for over 10 years and just crossed the boundary and demanded that, you know, I respond, and I didn't respond, and just pushed, but pushed to the point where I was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, this doesn't work anymore. You know, I mean, it's just, the boundary has been crossed, and it's been crossed too many times that it's just not worth, you know, and it's time to part ways, you know. And it's not easy, especially when you've had them, you know, as long as we were together. But it's like I evolved and I became stronger in my boundaries, and they just didn't accept that, you know. And it's just like, okay, then it's, you know, time to move on.
Yeah. It's making me think of something that we do talk about on the show a lot, which is energetic hygiene, right? It's like recognizing the things in your life, or the people or the clients or environments that are drains
Yes.
and not faucets. Like, there's faucets that fill you up and make you feel great and energize you, and then there's drains that make you feel like shit or leave you in the bathroom, you know. And it's like, it's having the awareness. I think it's just really the self-awareness of that your body is always giving you signs.
Correct.
And in your case, it's very obvious, those signs.
Yes. Yes.
Which maybe
And
for you was a gift.
yeah. Yeah. And I didn't realize it in the beginning. I mean, you know, when I started the business, obviously I started after I was diagnosed, but I chose to ignore them because it was like, you're supposed to go, go, go. You know, it was, you know, we're taught like, get the client, get the client, get the client. And it was just kind of like, I was getting the signs, but I was ignoring them. I wasn't really putting much value into them. And then, you know, you wind up in the hospital more than once. It's kind of like, okay, you have to kind of step back. And then even being in the hospital, you know, the reactions from the clients, it's like, okay, you guys get it. Like, you understand that we got to kind of take a step back, you know, and the boundaries have to kind of be enforced.
I'm sure that was a very telling moment in your career when you were there, when you were in the hospital, to see just how people responded or reacted.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, me being me, I'm going to answer the phone. I mean, I can still talk to you. I mean, not much I can do. I'm laying in a hospital bed. And then when they found out, they're like, oh my God. But it also forced the client to kind of do a little bit more. You know, I mean, I think sometimes it gets easy, more so in what I do than, someone who's a coach, that, okay, Patty's taking care of the books. We don't have to worry about it. Well, at the end of the day, it's your business, I mean, so you really should kind of know what's going on. And they do, but they trust me enough where, okay, if we don't hear from Patty, that means, well, it's good. We don't have to worry about anything. It's when Patty calls that we have an issue. So, but it was kind of like, okay, have that communication open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really hadn't considered the fact that your body just was giving you very, very significant signs. It was just manifesting as this at first nuisance that then became like a very strong indicator that something is not in alignment.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Kind
now,
of,
because I know it, it's, last year I had to move. We sold my parents' house, just stressful, all that kind of stuff. And, knock on wood, I didn't have a flare up. So I've now kind of taken more measures, and, it's taking a walk every day on the beach and getting out and moving and all that kind of stuff that kind of keeps everything in check so that there's no chance that I can have a flare up, So I'm smarter now about what I do to protect my body so that I'm not in a position where, when I have a flare up, it's minimum 3 days in a hospital. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so like cool hearing like the depths of this too, because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs sacrifice their health for money. Like that's a very common thing. I mean, it's becoming less common the more that people wake up to their own health and the power of energy and how people can tell when you are not taking care of yourself. And I think there's a level of respect that we have for leaders and entrepreneurs who do take care of themselves. We can feel that viscerally. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And just the power of like when the person leading the mission, the business is taking care of themselves, how that ends up positively impacting all parts of the business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because my clients see me putting the kind of me first. I mean, taking the time, not working a full day, going to the beach for a couple hours. And it's like, well, I should do that too. Well, there's nothing stopping from you. Stopping you from doing it. You definitely can take 2 hours, I mean, you're worth that time. Answering an email at 9, 10 o'clock isn't going to get you anywhere. I mean, really, what is it going to do? It can wait till tomorrow. Nothing is that important that, most of the time, that, can't be just put off for a couple hours or the next day.
Yeah. And I think it's so refreshing and also empowering, I know, for people that are listening to just hear like you can be very successful and make a lot of impact and help a lot of clients and do your work and be super regulated and relaxed and calm and healthy and prioritize yourself and have friendship and you can truly have it all, but as long as it starts with that piece, the health piece, I truly
Correct.
believe.
Correct. Because if we're not healthy, it doesn't matter what we do. You're not going to be able to help anybody. Coach them, offer a service. If you're a brick and mortar, you're not going to be able to open up your store if you don't have your health.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that although that you do numbers for your clients, I'm sure that there's probably a lot more that ends up happening with your clients in that transformation. Tell us about that.
So, I mean, like when I work with somebody, I do the basics. Yes, I'll reconcile. I mean, I've been doing this for so long that, I can do everything from A to Z. And when I start with a new client, they're embarrassed, they're ashamed. And there's no reason to be, I mean, they've done the best that they can. And the fact that they've realized that this is not their zone of genius, this is not the area of expertise for them is huge, So I kind of take that weight off and that stress, and it's like months later, they're like, oh my God, like I feel so much better knowing that you're taking care of everything. And I've had clients, because I know sometimes more than the business than a spouse does. I become a therapist, because we're going through this aspect and, maybe they don't want the spouse to know, or they're concerned about something. So who's the person who knows the ins and outs of the numbers? I do. So it's like they'll confide in me and we'll come up with a game plan. Or it's just, this is what's going on. So I become like a family member. I mean, they're like family members to me. I've had clients for over 10 years they've seen my, growth, and I've seen their growth and their children's, and, all that kind of stuff. So it's not an ordinary just, yes, I'm the bookkeeper and that's all I do. We build, relationships.
Yeah. I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you too, is because I think you defy all odds of what it means to actually be a bookkeeper.
I don't think I'm your standard, I was a cheerleader all through grammar school, high school, and college. You don't really think of that when you think of counting major, and now she's a bookkeeper. But, this was something that I knew sophomore year in high school. This was it. Numbers were my thing. And I really can't imagine me not doing anything other than what I'm doing. It's easy, it's fun. And, I'm grateful that I can make my clients' life easier, that I want to add value to your team. I want to add value and let you do what you do, and you don't have to worry about this stuff. I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at the core, I think that there's so much preconceived notions about like just the financial industry generally as being a very dry, boring industry. And one of the things I love about you too is like you have such great personality and great charisma, but I also can just tell that there's like a client first, relationship first approach. And I really think that's the only way to have a sustainable business and to be a true leader is valuing the people that you're working with and like that being the core of everything. Because without that, people just feel like you're a number and it's not the depth of the relationship or the, hey, how are, like that level of like you actually care about the human. And I think that's the direction that leadership needs to go in order for this world to change.
Yes, totally. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. It's all about the relationships because, I have a relationship with their money, but I also have a relationship with them, and they have one with me. So, and it doesn't always have to be business related, it can be personal because money does affect all aspects of someone's life. It's not just the business. It does affect personal lives and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to wrap up with this quote I once said to someone and then they reflected it back to me as like being something that changed them. And I was like, oh, I should use this more. But it was around the fact that like your business journey is actually just a spiritual journey in disguise and how all of your clients, all of everything that you've done in your business is all just helping you heal and increase your frequency, improve your leadership, just make you a better human. And I would just love to hear any insights or anything that you've seen as patterns in your life that makes this feel true for you.
Yeah, because starting out, you're on a journey and you don't realize that you're on a spiritual journey and a healing journey too. I was healing myself and what I went through, and my clients mirror what I was going through at the time. And, we don't send boundaries. Yes, it took me a while because you're always at that fear of like, okay, if I don't answer the phone on Saturday at 4:00, they're going to fire me. They're not. It's all okay. But it took a long time to get to that where I was like, no, I'm good, So it is a mirror. And, going through the journey with my clients led me to go through my own journey, where now I can look back and I know I'm a totally different person than I was, 18 years ago when I started it. And I have trust and knowing that it's all going to work out in my favor exactly how it should.
Yeah. I love the part where you said everything is a mirror. Like, isn't it crazy how I'm sure you've had moments where you think a client is thinking something, but it's actually just you thinking that about yourself, but you're inserting that into what their brain is saying. And you're like, oh, that's a limiting belief. Or, oh, okay, what the hell? Like, what was that? It is a fast track, I think, to healing. It's the same with being in a relationship. It's the same. Relationships are the biggest healer. So of course your business is going to heal the shit out of you because it can't not.
Right. Oh yeah. You have to, if you don't change as you go through this journey, something's wrong. Then we need to rethink this whole, business thing. But yeah, no, you should evolve as a person as your business grows. And that's what, happened with me. I evolved as my business has evolved over the years.
That's amazing. We have so many different stages of leader and entrepreneur that listen to the show. So you have wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom, and I would just love to hear any final words of wisdom to whether it's a newbie starting out, an aspiring leader entrepreneur, or somebody who's even been in business for 10, 15, even maybe longer than you. Is there anything that you really feel called to share based on this conversation with the listeners?
Kind of just trust yourself. I mean, do what you love. It's got to be what you love doing, but trust the process, trust yourself, believe in yourself. Because, if you have this thought, you have this idea, run with it. Because if it was given to you, it was given to you for a reason. So, yeah.
I love that. Trust your soul assignment.
Yeah.
And just fucking run with it and have as much fun as Patty and I do.
You do. You have to have fun with it, because if it becomes too serious, you're going to wind up, like not regretting, but, like just not being happy with it. And it's just, you don't want to resent it because it's not doing, you got to do what you love.
Yeah,
And
you don't want to burn it down.
Change it, I mean, find something, tweak it, do what you have to do. But if you're not loving it, then, it's not going to give you, what you want and what you, really should, what you desire and what you should get.
I love that. Thank you, Patty, for sharing your wisdom with us and being such a incredible example of leadership and defying the odds of bookkeeping, and just being a total inspiration to so many people who know that they need to put themselves first more. And thank you for being an example of that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I've totally loved it.
Well, so great. You guys definitely go find Patty, give her some love. And if you are in need of a high frequency bookkeeper, she's your woman. She's a numbers ninja, but clearly way more than that. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Bye.